Well, hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Jane and I run a business called Snapdragon Life and an online community called the Studio Club, and I am a textile artist, a natural dyer, a gardener, a sharer of all things. And I'm based in the middle of Scotland in a stunningly beautiful place. So today I wanted to kind of like talk about creativity because it's something that a lot of people ask me about and which I have very strong views on. So first of all, I believe that everybody is creative and that creativity isn't the same as art. You can be creative in business and with friends and the way you arrange your house and cooking. Oh, drop my pen. Gardening, present wrapping, all kinds of things are creative. And I think that creativity is not something that you are necessarily born with, and it's something that you can enhance in your life by trying to kind of build up two particular kinds of things in your life. And the first is things that are creative are often not new at all. But what they are is that they are not copying something that exists already. They're taking two disparate things that are kind of almost random, seeing the links, seeing the potential and putting them together. So if you create as many opportunities as possible for that to happen in your life, then you're likely to become more creative. Second thing, it's about attention and paying attention and really noticing things, whether that's out in nature or colours or art or whatever. The more you notice, the more creative that you will become. Now, in the art field, I think that things have changed. Maybe in the crafts field, I should say. I think that things have changed. When I was sort of about 10, so late 70s, maybe into the early 80s, my mum used to make things which she sold at craft fairs. Now, she used to make them from patterns in books, as did everybody else at the craft fairs. And it wasn't that she thought she was copying or not being creative or going against copyright or anything like that. That was just what was done. Now, clearly, we're not in that situation now, and there are very clear copyright laws, and people cannot go and copy things. I'm sure that they still do, but they're not meant to. So I think our attitude has changed a great deal. And what I wanted to do was just to say what I think is proper creativity and what I think is something different, not illegal or copying, but just something different. And I'm going to use two examples. So the first thing is that I looked on the Toast website. I really love the Toast brand. And there is a lamb's wool neckerchief in orange, which is machine knitted in a kind of basket weave pattern, and then it has a slight frill around the edge. Now, I'm still trying not to buy anything new clothes-wise. I haven't bought anything new apart from knickers and tights for 14 months now, and I'm just intending to carry that on as long as I can. But I did like this neckerchief, so very handily they put out a flat picture of it, a thing with the dimensions. And I thought, I could reverse engineer that into something that I could hand knit that would be the same kind of shape, it'll have the same kind of soft frill around the edge, very flat frill, and a texture in the middle. Now, I don't like having to look at my knitting very well, so I swapped the basket weave for moss stitch. and I've got this little frill. The dimensions are going to be pretty much the same. I'm knitting it in the red cashmere that I had left over. Now, that is clearly, it's not the same as the toast neckerchief. It's a different colour, different stitches. It's hand knitted. It's not machine knitted, but it's reverse engineered. It is a deliberate attempt to try and get the same kind of thing. It is not what I would call creative. It's lovely. I'm really delighted with the way it's turning out, but I wouldn't say that it was particularly creative. Take a different example from business. When I started the Studio Club, which is my membership, there were not, this was sort of like back, 9 years ago, there were not that many memberships, but there were some. And I was in a membership called Make Light, which is run by Emily Quinton. And it was aimed at people who had small business and wanted to know about publicising that, really. So it was largely photography, Instagram tips, some kind of blog writing kind of courses, that kind of thing, and it was a community. Now, by the time I started my membership, Make Light, I think, had finished, or certainly it was finishing. But a lot of what I wanted to achieve with the Studio Club, particularly that kind of feeling of community, comes from Make Light. But I didn't want to do a kind of a Make Light copy. And anyway, at that time, I was very much a product business. We were set up to make things, hundreds of things, thousands of things. So I saw that there was this kind of weird hybrid membership was starting with beauty products called Beauty Pie, where there was a website that once you were logged in, you got a completely different kind of website, different prices, different kind of things, and that worked out your basket and things. And there was an awful lot of tech stuff that I couldn't do on my existing website. So I took these two ideas, the very kind of community course-based making, well, that was kind of like a photography website, and the product joining and getting discount things. And I took them to David and Jill, who saw my website. They're at Fuzzy Lime. I'll put the link underneath here. They're absolutely brilliant. And they built me something that combined those two things. Now, the Studio Club has changed drastically over those 9 years. And, because we've put in proper forums, and there is lots of video now on the courses and all of these kinds of things that became much more doable in the last few years. But at its heart, it was a very creative solution, banging up something that is completely out of my sphere, selling moisturizers, and something that I had enjoyed but was slightly different in that it was a completely teaching website, putting them together to create something new. So that's what I would say that creativity is. A couple of things that are different: not trying to copy something, not trying to reverse engineer, but making something new. So how do you make it easier to expose yourself to this, to expose yourself to all of the new things that might not quite fit? And the first thing, and I know that this probably isn't going to be popular, is I think you should think about what you shouldn't use, because what you're wanting is things that are completely new, not things that are already kind of embedded in your tastes. So you need to avoid anything that has an algorithm which is based on trying to second guess your tastes. So something like Pinterest And I know that lots and lots of creativity courses will say, go to Pinterest, make a Pinterest board. And I can see the advantage. I mean, I think Pinterest is amazing, you know, for something like sorting out your clothes style or whatever, and you just get lots and lots of suggestions that are almost the same but slightly different. Wonderful. But for working on creative projects, it's not very helpful. The reason it's not helpful is that it uses an algorithm. It is guessing what you like. It's just going to keep showing you a narrower and narrower and narrower, almost pre-chewed kind of range of stuff. And you'll see, if you've ever tried to come up with things on Pinterest, you often get the same photos, just cropped slightly different ways over and over again. And it's because the algorithm is going, oh, she likes yellow jumpers. Just show the same yellow jumper from 20 different viewpoints. So I would say don't use Pinterest. If you are going to use Pinterest, maybe use it just as a way of transferring things you found elsewhere up onto the site. And that's what I do. 2, don't follow other artists or crafters on Instagram. And I know that's going to be really, really difficult for people, but it's so easy to see all of the images, and they get embedded in your brain, and then somehow your work starts looking like theirs. And it's something that you'll see. I mean, you know, say eco printing, there's so many eco printers, their work is very, very similar. And then you will see other eco printers who you can tell that they're not going around looking at anybody else's work. They are doing other things to feed their creativity, and they are coming up with things that look like nobody else's. They have their own style. So somebody like Lotte Hellberg, an amazing eco printer, and her style, although you can see it's eco printing and it's based on eco printing of paper and fabric and embroideries, it's quite different from other people. And you know, there are a number of these artists, but what I would say is, yes, follow them, but mute them. So don't see them on a daily kind of thing. And I know that's really difficult. So I've got rid of Pinterest and Instagram. What do I actually suggest you do? Well, I suggest you use your phone to take photographs. Now, when I first started my business, I used to make these scrapbooks. And I suppose these would be a bit like Pinterest is now. And I have lots and lots of things cut out of magazines. And you can see that I was obviously a great country living fan, you know, and there's some Angie Lewin. And what's really interesting to me is that these pictures, which would have been put in here maybe 1999, 2000, all look really kind of up to date. So I made all of these scrapbooks using pictures from magazines. Now, the problem, there we go, make your own night lights, firelighters. The problem with these is that they are quite static. They, show you these. I can flick through them like a book, but I know what's in them, and they don't spark anything off. And that is a bit of a problem. So last year, I came up with a solution. I work predominantly in textiles, some printmaking. I am interested in natural forms. I'm really interested in natural dyes. And I am a lover of history and material culture, stories, things that are a bit worn, things where you can see the maker's hand. So I go through life, and I go through life with my phone, and I take hundreds and hundreds of photos. And I thought, this is the problem, because I'm just keeping them all on my phone. So, you know, I might take photos of lichen, or something that I've seen in a museum, or in a book. I also have a whole load of things that inspire me greatly. This is a mat that I made in primary 3, maybe primary 2. And I have a very similar one that my husband made in primary 2, different primary 2. We went to school 5th and 6th year together, but not primary school. I have lots and lots of books, which I love. I have, oh, I will show you here. Look, here's some of my books. This is a book from an exhibition that I saw this week, which is all about kimonos. That's at the Dundee V&A until the end of the year. And it has very, very beautiful photos. But I also took photos going round the exhibition. I have things like textiles of Southeast Asia. You can see this has got lots and lots of little things and lots of writing, because I do like to know the history. This is one of my most treasured books, is Tim Walker photographs. It's nothing to do with anything that I do, but, you know, I mean, look at the photographs. They're just joyous. So I look through that. And what I end up with is a whole load of photos on my phone. Now, I discovered last year that there is a company, there may be lots and lots of these companies, but the company that I used is called Freeprint. And for the postage, which I think is £3.95 probably, there you can get 45 prints for free. And I thought, well, that's brilliant. So I was getting the prints. I was just sort of like taking 45 prints off my phone every month, getting them printed out. And that was working very brilliantly. But what I ended up with was pretty much like my scrapbooks here, something very, very static. So it would look lovely, right? So I will show you a page from my scrapbook here that has them. So it will look like this, right? So basically like a photo album. But what changed for me was that I discovered that free prints, if you're prepared to pay for some of your prints, you can get a whole new set of your 45 for £4. And so you will end up with 2 of each one. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting my pictures in here. So you can see there's that. That's actually in the V&A, this one. There we go. But I thought it was quite a good match for my one. Some herbariums. I always love herbariums. It's in the V&A collection. These were some pots from Kilmartin. Some willow herb. This is in the V&A. This is some of the dyes that I did. I just think that the colours go really well. Pots from Kilmartin. So I get my 45 prints and I post them in here. And then with the duplicates, I just put them in a pile. So here are the herbarium duplicates. And on the back, I write November 24. So as I am looking through my scrapbooks, and I think, oh, that herbarium, that one there, that's quite interesting. And maybe the willow herb is quite interesting. Or maybe something to do with cyanotypes. I can go to my piles and I can go, okay, November 24, pick that out, pick that out, pick that out. And then I can put them up here. And I can play around with what kinds of things go next to each other. They might go next to some thread. I might have some fabrics. And I can use this book here as a kind of index. a quick way of going through all of the images that I have in an offline kind of way, because then I think that you notice things a lot more. We're so used to scrolling through our phones. So that's my current thing, and it's working at the moment. It's giving me this feeling of security, that I know where I put the things that interested me through the month, that I know that I have it squirreled away and I can find it. And then I just put all of those photographs away. They are all just stored under my free prints thing on my desktop. So I could always, you know, find them. If this burns down, I've still got all the photographs online. And I could start again with a lot of prints. So the other thing, so I'll put this one away, put the big one away. Big one's for inspiration. And this little one is very much the same. This is my studio version. So again, it is little prints, photographs from free prints, bits of fabric, might be some bits of thread. It's my packaging here. And this then becomes just a little diary of what is happening in the studio. And I find that much easier than trying to keep up with making accurate notes. So if I just do things on my phone, and then when it comes to the day where I'm sorting out my photographs, you know, I've got all of the works in progress. This is a needle case that I am making, and I'll go and get the proper minute. Right, so this is the needle case that I'm making in a course in January, that starts in January. You see that it's all embroidered, and then inside it's got this kind of sampler thing, because we're going to be learning all of these stitches in January. And in the book, you see, it just translates. So here we are, here is embroidery. The transfer that I used, samples and things, this is some kits, and I think here I have some more things to put in. So this is the transfers, embroidery transfers. This was a first kind of, when I was trying to work out whether the embroidery would work as a Studio Club thing. Here's just another work in progress picture and a close-up of the embroidery. So you can see that it just gives a snapshot of what November looked like in my studio. I'll put those in, and I will just put the date up here. And that seems to be working for me as a really nice simple thing. And then I've just got two books, and that's the big one and the little one. Little one is studio stuff, big one is inspiration, because there's always much more inspiration out there than I actually get to use. So I hope that kind of makes sense of the structure. Ask me if there's anything that you do not understand, that I haven't made clear. And I would love to know how you tackle kind of creativity and providing yourself with the resources to do it. And now I don't know whether you can hear the dogs barking. I don't know what they're barking at, but I am going to go and sort them out. And I will see you next Friday. Bye-bye.